The consciousness here at this state develops awareness through communication and interaction. And I wanted to say this, if I didn't touch on it last week, is that we see a pack or a herd or a school of fish, and we would say, well, there's individuals, but they don't perceive themselves necessarily as an individual. And that, of course, that depends on the state of consciousness of that particular animal group. They consider the group as one.
Right.
And you know what? Somebody might ask, well, how do you know that?
Sorry, I don't understand.
Somebody might ask, how do you know that? And you see that in the movement. Right. The movement is the expression of thought.
Right.
Exactly.
So, they call that the term is swarming behavior.
Yes, you mentioned that. Yes.
Yeah, that's what that is.
And it's interesting because it's when you watch nature, like I used to be into a lot of the predators on Animal Planet and stuff like that. And it's like a sense of knowing, like when it comes to the weak and the old, the young, they will ultimately how it's come to me is like it's like a sacrifice. Like, so if the hyenas or these packs are going after the herd,
right,
they don't stop. It depends on the animal group, but they usually don't stop to go to save that person or that entity.
Right.
They allow it to happen because that sacrifice or that what has become food gives everybody else a chance to escape.
Right.
So every aspect of creation works itself out.
Right.
You about to say something? Something?
Yes. So when you look at certain animals, right, in these packs or they're, being in these herds and they giving up a sacrifice, like you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you might have that one individual calf or herd member come out. So that'll let you know that animal there is far along the path of density than the other herd.
When you say come out, what do you mean?
Come out to save them.
Oh, okay.
Save the other,
I got you.
the one that's been, because I do, because I love watching animal stuff. I love watching them. So, and you'll see that one come out, and that one that comes out is a little more sensitive. So that tells me that animal's not thinking like the rest of the group.
Mm.
So I would say that animal or that herd member is on a
different frequency.
A different frequency than the rest of the herd.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would say it's sensitivity and stuff like that, which will start bringing you up to
at its level.
At its level.
Right.
And then it brings you up to like almost going to the third density.
Right.
These gives these emotions and stuff.
Yes.
So, but that's sometimes. That's not all the time.
Right. And we're not sitting here speaking from being animal experts or anything. We're just using these references as examples that someone could use.
Right.
So at the later states of second density, as we spoken before, certain animals, they get to a state of consciousness where they're on the cusp of moving into third density, and you'll see that when people take in pets. Right. So you give them an opportunity to develop a personality, an individuality, giving them a name, so on and so forth. They take on the some of the characteristics of the owner, so to speak. So that's moving towards the end of the second density conscious experience. So as the soul or the entity develops, it moves on towards the third density. Mm-hmm. With the third density is the density of self-awareness and choice, the choice. Mm. And we see this in a lot of religious texts and a lot of theological systems, even in states of psychology. This density correlates with the yellow ray or the solar plexus chakra. Mm-hmm. And it's also considered a chemical body. In this density, which is our current density with a mingling of the fourth, I said that in 2012, we started moving into the fourth density. So we're in the beginning of the fourth density.
Right.
this density is the shortest and most intense of all the densities because of the introduction of polarity and the veil of forgetting. So, and the biggest catalyst in this density is suffering.
Yes.
Yeah.
And everybody knows what catalyst means. It's something that's thrown into the mix to activate some type of
movement. or direction of thought.
Or direction of thought.
Yeah.
And in this density, here in the fourth principle, we talk about polarity. That's the main thing that we talk about. That it's one line, but two measurements on that line.
Right.
And in this density, based on the catalyst that's given, you have the opportunity to choose service. You have the opportunity of choosing service to others, or service, or you could say it's service to other selves, or you can choose service to self. Right? And you go through your incarnations actually polarizing to graduate into the fourth density, which from that point on, you're really trying to increase in knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of that polarization that you've already chose in the third density. That makes sense to everybody on the panel?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Any thoughts, any additions?
No.
I'm good on it.
All right. So
I think you covered everything.
I don't know if I mentioned this. Just remember, there's always energies, entities, and vibrations, you could say thought forms, that already vibrate in these polarizations that what we consider non-physical realm. And these entities, energies, vibrations actually help guide the lower densities forward. So when we talk about fourth density, fifth density, and sixth density being, they're usually guiding the lower densities forward. Right. And we may get into how that works and certain concepts that we have, whether it be religion, psychology, theology, so on and so forth. Politics. Yes. Yeah. It's always, it's everywhere.
And I would also say that I think the unseen realm, if you will, is it's becoming unavoidable.
Yes.
Just by the nature of what you see acting out.
Yes.
Yep.
And before we move on to the fourth density, I mentioned the veil of forgetting. So let me be very detailed on this as we move on, because I touched on it, but I don't know if I explained it. So what happens is as you move into the third density, it's what's placed on you is, since you're going to incarnate to work out what polarity you're going to choose, right? You have what's called a veil of forgetting, or a veil placed over your soul as you incarnate into the physical expression. And what that does is it makes every experience authentic. Right. You're not, hence in certain religions, we'll say you only have this one life to make a choice. And that's a paradox, because you only have the one life as this version of you, or this personality, this entity, right, known as Malakia, Zokan Yazakar, right, Kazakya. This is our one. This is that one chance for us to continue our soul's polarization, because we're a fractal of a greater soul that has many experiences, but because we exist in what we consider time and space, we see it as a linear progression. So we'll say we reincarnated. Right. But from that one greater soul, it's experiencing all moments, all experiences now. It's only an infinite now moment to those that exist outside of space and time. Right.
Yes.
Right? Everybody following that? Mm-hmm. So for us, to keep us from being confused, to keep us from saying, oh man, it's okay, and you were my wife in a previous life, and we chose to come and be soul companions in this life, to cut that confusion out, I forget. He forgets. Right. And we have an organic experience as, man, I met this guy, X, Y, and Z. Or I met this brother in the Navy, or whatever the case may be. It's authentic. But, or however, they're little tells. When you meet certain souls, it's just a familiarity, a knowingness. Right.
Though, excuse me, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You good? Go ahead.
Those are the those are the patterns or the signatures of makeup.
Yes. Explain what you mean.
What I mean is, so within we talked about it a few weeks ago. Within the core energy blueprint, the geometric, if you will, composition of a being, I believe and I've seen that there are certain energy patterns that exist, and they serve as small fragments of memory.
Okay.
So you may come in contact with a person, right? And you say, man, I don't know what it is at this point in time, but you're working towards remembering, something that may have been in another previous existence.
Right.
And somebody might say, well, that's like, how do you even know that? Right? Like, how? If you've ever gone to sleep,
right. Come on.
which I think we all go to sleep, and you find yourself in another place,
Right.
and you see yourself in this other place. What's that?
Yes. What is that?
Right? It's
Facts.
for all intents and purpose, it's just as real when you open your eyes and get up and go throughout this current space and time.
Right.
Right? And psychology kind of frames it as working through certain memories, certain visual fragments that you compartmentalize in your brain.
Right.
Which is why, there's so much study on the brain and what happens with the brain.
Right.
Right. But, as an example, to further discussion on, and you talking about the veil of forgetting, there are times when you have these small memory fragments that guide and push you in the direction, to remember.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I'm.
Right.
To add to that, and it's not the veil is not necessarily always the rule. You understand what I'm saying? It's some souls, which I don't want to go too far into it. Some souls come here and they remember. Because that's a part of their soul's purpose, is to remember and to do specific tasks in that incarnation.
Yes.
Some souls, they remember at a later date. Some souls, they get information how we get information, whether you go into a psychic, whether you channeling yourself, so whether you have dreams and you're telling yourself in your dream, so on and so forth. So we all have different reasons and different stages that our soul development path is on.
Right.
If that makes sense. If I said that correct.
Yeah.
All right.
So when you're in a dream, you have to look at, if you hear and you wear glasses and you're in the dream, you don't have glasses on. What is that? Where you at right now? Because you can't see without your glasses that you know of right now. But in your dream, you don't have glasses on. I know when I dream, I don't have my glasses on. But I know I have them. I need them here.
So what does that mean to you?
To me, that means I'm somewhere else at a different time that I didn't need glasses.
Got it. You're talking about like so, and again, this is what I've experienced and what I've studied. The when you dream, a lot of times that place, that realm, some say the astral plane, is a realm where all aspects of yourself come to meet.
Exist, yeah.
Right. And in that moment, the veil is lifted and you remember.
Right.
In that realm, you are awake. And in this realm, but you're asleep to this realm.
Right. And
everything that you experience, you're very coherent while you're there. But what we call them dreams, and then we're trying to interpret what we saw, is us now, our consciousness has returned back into this physical body and everything, and now we're trying to decipher that realm.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? It's almost like a reverse, but yes.
And time seems longer.
Because you're in a place where there is no time.
Right. So when you wake up, you like, hey, hold on, I just went to sleep.
And I can give you an exercise to, help you remember certain things that may be beneficial for your highest good.
Right.
That you may be trying to tell yourself, you know what I mean, in those realms.